Okay, decided to make a video on how I do these. I'm going to make a 4-cell flat pack. There we go. That's what it's going to look like. Basically, these are 21700, the moly cells. And I think these were about $6 or $7 each. And what I do is I usually just make a bunch of these. And if I want it 2 pair or 3 pair, or 4 pair, whatever, I just stack them up and I make a harness for 3 of these or 2 of these or whatever. And then I can use them in smaller planes, or if I have a bigger plane, then I can stack them up and go from there. I've kind of already started the process. When you first get these, I take my little Dremel and I gouge up the top best I can, just kind of all over on both sides. And then what I do after that is I just take some hot glue so they stick together. It's just easier to work with. And then I tin all the ends. And then I get some of the strip and I tin both of these ends because that's what's going to get soldered to the battery. Let's see. And the strip I get from Amazon. It's just one of these nickel strips. They're pretty cheap. Okay. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to do the bottom half of the battery first. These strips are pre-cut and they fit right over the top or bottom. And I put the tin side down on top of the tin side of the battery. And I find it helpful if you have some flat tweezers. You can just hold on to it as you're soldering it down. So let me get the soldering iron going and we'll continue in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to stick them with this clamp here so they don't move around. Usually I stick with my vise, but due to my recording situation, it's not, it won't be very easily done. So I have my soldering iron set to 800 degrees Fahrenheit. And we're just going to hold on to that. We're going to lay it kind of across here. We're going to tin the tip here. This is a standard tip. Let's see if you can see that. Just the standard one that comes with all the soldering irons. So put a little bit of that there. And this should melt the other side of this tin strip that I already tinned on there. So my soldering iron decided to drop the heat while I was setting everything up, so here we go. So I think the rule is no longer than 6 seconds to be touching these batteries, or else I guess bad things are going to happen. 6 seconds is a pretty long time. I don't think I'm keeping it on for that long. Okay. Since this is the bottom battery, you got to think about the balance lead. I'm going to put the balance lead right here directly in the middle. So I'll tin that little area right there. Okay. So that's the bottom of the battery. Everything looks okay. Okay. Now we're going to work on the other side of the battery, except we're not going to join these edges. This is where our pigtail is going to go, right here on top, along with the balance is going to all stick out up here. So we need to put the strips on one side here and here. And once those are on, we're going to link them to the other battery, and we're just going to fold it over on top of itself. So let's do that. So pay attention that you got the polarities correct, or else you're going to short circuit this thing and burn your house down. Try to line these up the best you can, because when you put the strips across, they don't really flex. So if it's a little crooked, it's not going to fold over very well. Okay. So we'll get another strip here. And then a little bit of that there. And turn the heat up just a little bit. When I touch the soldering iron to the cell, the heat drops significantly, so I'll turn it up a little bit here. Okay. You can see the tin part start kind of oozing out of the bottom. That'll be kind of an indication that it's joined at the other end. Okay, and for the last one, okay, now the other two balance leads are going to go here, and the last two are going to go on the very top next to this thing. So kind of give it a little wiggle, make sure that your leads, your tin strip's not popping off, that you've got a good solder connection in there, it's not cold. And once you're happy with it all, basically just kind of fold it over to make sure it's all straight, lined up, which it is. And then I'm going to start working on the balance lead. I bought these on Amazon. These are the silicone ones. These are ones I recommend. I've used the PVC ones, and they're okay, but they're just stiff. I like these because they're flexible. You get like a 10-pack of these for $7 or something like that, and you can get make sure you get the right ones. This is for 4-cell, obviously. If you have making 3 cells or 2 cells, make sure you get that. So let me get this all cut and tinned so we can go ahead and solder it to these. Okay, I just wanted to mention on these balance plugs, there is a proper way to put them. There is a positive on one side. Well, there's 4 positives and a negative. Actually, it's 3. And you make sure you have these correctly, or else when you check it through here or plug this in, if some people use this for an accessory, it's just not going to work. And if you're wondering how to do that, you know what that is. If you notice on one side, it's all lined up, so that's going to be the negative side of your battery. It's going to go to the negative. So in this case, the far left black will be the negative. So that's going to the negative side of my battery, along with the negative side of that. The next one is going to go to the next battery. Under that, the next one's going to go to the next battery, and the next one, and then finally the positive is going to go and hang out with this positive on the top. So you're basically just going around the battery with these and I'll see if I can get all the detail in there. As far as length, you kind of want this pretty long so you have the ability to flex the battery around when you're trying to plug it into this thing. This one here, I don't know, it's about 6, maybe 7 inches long or something. And I'm going to keep it that long. The longest wire is going to go down here. Oops, down to the bottom of my battery. So if we look at this, this is the negative, which is here. So that's going to be really short. The next wire is going to go here, so it's not that one. The next wire is going to go down here at the bottom. So I'm going to do this one first and then work my way with the rest of them. It's just easier for me to do it that way. So now usually, you remember I put that 10 right here in the middle, so that's where that's going to go, and it's going to run up through the side like that. Again, I usually use my vise for this, but I can't do it for this video. So I'm just going to tin this wire. And we're going to stick them right here. Okay. So that's going to go up the middle there. Okay. And then the negative's on this side. So that's going to be the short negative. And this is going to be the same size because it's right next to each other. So we'll go ahead and cut those now. Okay. So the short one goes to this negative. The next battery is the next wire. So we're going to measure this guy out. Cut it here. Which also means the other lead is going to go to the next battery over here. So these could be the same length. Okay. Now I'm going to stop the video and I'm going to tin all these, and I'll continue back here in a second. Okay, so I got all these tinned here. So we're just going to go to the next battery. I kind of like to do it off to the side a little bit, so when I fold these batteries on top of each other, it kind of pops out right down to that center channel of battery there. Okay, so that's this one, and then we're going all the way around. We already did the bottom. We're doing that other longer lead right next door. We're going to make that go off kind of crooked, so it goes down the battery channel. Okay, so now we can fold this guy in half. Now all that's left to do is just the positive and negative. Positive on one side, negative on the other. But before I do that, I'm going to solder this guy on. It's just easier to get this on and then we'll solder these right next to its respective wire. So let me kind of orientate this to a way you guys can see it real quick. Okay, so I went ahead and tinned these pigtail here. Make sure you get the polarities correct, positive and negative. So I like to keep my plug on the same side as this plug, so it's all going to be on this end here. This is all eventually going to get folded up when I put the heat shrink on. So this is a 12 gauge wire. It looks fat, but it's just the insulation is really thick. I might use a smaller gauge if I was doing 18 650s, but I got a whole bunch of it, so we're going to use this. Okay, so let's get this going here. You should put a lot of solder on your tip there. Just kind of hold it on there. Okay. And we just got to put the positive and negative. Let's see if I can do this here. So that's all together. Okay, sorry about that. I was getting a phone call. I don't know if you heard that or not. So anyway, this is kind of how it looks. Balance plug. This is all going to point up. I'm going to put the heat shrink on. What I kind of like to do is I'm going to put a piece of tape right here in the middle so it doesn't flex and it doesn't do this when I wrap the heat shrink on there. So it kind of keeps it straight as possible. So I'm going to grab some heat shrink. I'm going to show you guys what I use and the sizes and maybe where to get it. Okay, I'm just going to kind of go through these heat shrinks that I have. But all different sizes for different cells. The one I'm going to be using is this green one because it fits these 2100s side by side. Really nice. And if you're wondering, this is about 65 millimeters. This green stuff is the same configuration but with 18 650s. And this one's right around 55 centimeters. This is if you wanted to make a square pack and stack these on top of each other. And this one is right at about, I don't know, 100 104 centimeters, maybe. I mean millimeters, right around there. So we'll be using this green stuff. But like I said before, I like to make that so it doesn't flex. I'm just using, this is stranded packaging tape. You could use the thick stuff if you have the thick stuff, but I do have the thick stuff. I just think this is minimal and works just as well. Kind of squish it together. And then another important thing is you got to put some more of this tape on the bottom, because the heat shrink doesn't cover the bottom, and then some on the top here. So that helps so it doesn't, now I can slide it through the heat shrink without worrying about it zigzagging or whatever. So usually I put 2 pieces just to kind of make it a little bit stronger, so it doesn't get a hole poked in it during a crash or during transport in my LIFO bag when I go to the field and back. Okay, so this is pretty thick tape, and I'm pretty okay with the durability of it. So the top, I don't usually double it like I did the bottom, because the wires kind of protect everything, but I do a kind of a crisscross thing. I'll show you what I mean here. So when it's all together, there's this big kind of gap right here. You can push it down, but I've done that to the first few batteries I've ever built. I found if you just kind of snip it right there, it goes down past the wire. And then I had another piece here. I cross it over, and I'll show you what I mean. So I just kind of cut that in half, and then I go the other direction. Okay, and that's pretty much all I really do. Protect the ends, and then we're gonna measure out a piece of this, and we're gonna slide it through, shrink it up. So let me cut this to length, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I measured the battery. It was 5.5 from end to end. So I just cut out a piece that's 1 inch longer, 6.5. This, by the way, is PVC heat shrink. If you're trying to search for it on Amazon or something, PVC. Don't get the rubber stuff. That stuff is real thick, and it's kind of a pain in the ass to work with. So basically, I'm just kind of sliding it on. Okay, we're going to bend those wires up like I was talking about earlier. I might have made it a little too long. Let me cut some of this off. That should be okay. So now I'm just gonna heat it up, the heat gun. Try not to keep it in one place too long. see that? That's it. There's the bottom. There's the top. So that's the second one I did. What I like to do is I like to write either numbers or letters on here. I don't know why, but I just do it. Just so I know that they were kind of built at the same time, and I don't know. It's just something I do. So that's an A. On my batteries that I build for my airplanes, I usually put letters, and my son also flies. And all the packs I build for him, I put numbers. Again, I don't know why I do that, but I don't know. It's just a thing I do. So anyways, here's the 2 packs I built. They're pretty identical. Everything's good. And the last test, to make sure it all works, is you get one of these things, and they should all register. So I got 4 readings at 3.5 each. So all the cells are good, and it's connected because it's reading them all. And then the other pack, it's all 3.5. So these are ready to be charged, and you're supposed to charge these at half C. I think these are 4,200 milliamps, so I'll be charging these at about 2 amps, 4 cell 2 amps on my charger. That's it. So hopefully you learned something. Sorry the video's so long, but it might help somebody out.